Access All Areas, a podcast brought to you by Access Training. We're exploring the people, pathways and partnerships shaping the future of skills and training. So let's get into it with today's episode, Leaders of the Future. Why team leading and management training pays off. In this episode, we're joined by Wendy, our curriculum lead for business and management. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, everyone.
We're with Matt, business development consultant at Access Training and a former apprentice on our team leader programme. Hi, Matt.
Hi there.
We've got Helen, director from Morrell Financial Services, who is currently on our level 5 operations management programme.
Hello.
And finally, Cole, design and projects team leader at Purmo Group and also a learner in our OM cohort. Hi, Cole.
Hello.
Hello. Right, so to set the scene, what is leadership and management and why does it matter? Wendy, good leadership skills are integral for businesses of all shapes and sizes, really, but how would you define a great leader and why do you think it's so important?
So I think leadership is really important. There's so many people fall into roles as accidental managers. They maybe don't have any formal training, but without that training, they don't understand how to deal with certain situations. The one word that springs to me in leadership is you're dealing with people. People have personalities, people bring different traits, you're dealing with diverse teams, different cultures, different backgrounds, and it's about adapting your style and put yourself in their shoes and supporting the team through any journey they are going through within the business at any time.
Yes, it's about leading by example in a lot of cases, really, isn't it?
Totally, and if you don't lead by example, that's where you don't get your team on board. So I always think lead by example, don't ask your team to do anything one I would never have done or two I couldn't have done. So it's all about having that confidence and getting them to be on board and seeing that you're there to support them.
Amazing. Now, Access offers 2 key courses in these areas. That's Level 3 Team Leadership Programme, which we mentioned before, and of course the Level 5 OM Programme, which you guys are on. So could you tell us a little bit more about those?
Yeah, so your Level 3 Team Leader is often what we sort of direct at individuals who may be going into a team leader role, somebody who wants to be a team leader, somebody who is new to the role, and they fell into that role or they want to progress into that. So it's about supporting them to identify what the starting point is and giving them some of the basic knowledge that they can then, transform into their skills to consider how they could be that effective leader.
What would you say sets the 2 programmes apart, do you think?
So I think you look at the team leader level 3, like I say, that's aspiring team leaders, maybe somebody new to the industry or the role, whereas somebody into the OM programme, you're looking at someone that's established in the role, somebody that is, in a more responsible role or working towards supporting the strategic plans, the operational plans at a higher level, but then how that cascades down to like your team leader level.
Amazing. And Matt, why is it important for Access Training to have a strong offer in this area, do you think?
It is getting more and more important, and we want to make sure that we've got a really broad offering to make sure that we can support the employers that we work with more and more. So we do have the apprenticeships, but there are various other courses that come off that that can be really, really beneficial as well. It's a really competitive marketplace as well. So we want to make sure that we do remain as competitive as we can and that we can look after our employers in the best way possible for any level that they're looking at. As Wendy's already said, the team leader is very good for maybe aspiring team leaders, people starting their careers or looking to consolidate learning. We've then got the operations manager and also things that then go from that we'll discuss later. And
I think it's fair to say the employment landscape is changing, isn't it? So I think there's a need for employers to keep up to date, isn't there?
Absolutely. The requirements for employers and employees is changing very quickly, and it will continue to change. So we've got a real mix of different personalities, different generations in the workplace, and different generations and different individuals have different requirements. So if as a manager you're not keeping up to speed with those changes, then it can be quite difficult, and we want to make sure that we can support everybody through that. As we say, we've got the courses that help people new to roles, but it's also really important for established managers to carry on with their own personal development. And there's been various research that's been done, surveys from CMI that I've read, and it's quite concerning at times that they found that 30% of established managers hadn't done any professional development in the last 3 years. Coming out of COVID and all of the changes that we've had in new generations, new technology, the requirements of managers have changed, and you need to keep up to speed with that, really.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's not that you're ever doing anything wrong. It's just keeping up to date with that, isn't it?
Definitely.
So from an employer's perspective then, what do you think makes these apprenticeships so valuable right now?
Well, as Wendy touched on, accidental managers, it's something that I read about an awful lot, and when I have conversations with employees, it's something that resonates with pretty much everyone that you speak to. An accidental manager, it's not necessarily a bad thing. These are people that are really, really technically skilled, very, very gifted, very highly qualified in engineering and financial services and techie kind of sectors, but they've then gone into something where they're people managing, and that's a completely different skill set. So they are very important to be able to support people that have gone into roles in those ways, so that you can learn a completely different set of skills. We do get a lot of really positive feedback from employers and from the apprentices about the apprenticeships that we do, and some of the topics that we do hear a lot of positive feedback are about time management and delegation, managing conflict, things like team dynamics. Going back to, we've got a real melting pot of different personalities and employers, and if you understand what makes different people tick and where people may have conflict, may work in harmony, that can be massively beneficial, and we give you the tools to be able to look at doing those things with your team so that you can understand more about it. And that's, for me, one of my favourite topics. I absolutely love those kind of things because it's so interesting getting into the psyche of people. So
Yeah. Amazing. Now, the apprentice journey then, Helen, as someone with their own small business, could you tell us a bit about what you do first and foremost and why you chose the OM programme?
Yeah, so I run Morrell Financial Management with my husband Andrew. He is an independent financial advisor with over 25 years of experience, and like Matt's just alluded to, he's an absolute technical expert in his area. However, in order for us to be able to deliver a really great service to more people, we needed to have a team of staff, and we needed to have a building, facilities management, and that's really where I stepped into. The job title officially is everything apart from giving financial advice, which really encompasses everything that an ops manager does. So it's everything, like I said, from managing our staff team to facilities to marketing and supporting our clients, being legally compliant with the FCA Consumer Duty. So there's lots to it, and it works really well in that he is an excellent leader and coach for people in the technical areas that they need to, and then I do the other side of it in terms of line management, appraisals, all of the HR piece. The role of ops manager or anybody in that kind of operations space, it's a job of really like many hats. You have to be not an expert, you have to know a little bit about lots and lots of things. So the ops manager apprenticeship really covered all of that. So I was like, oh yes, HR, excellent. Team development, very good. Finance for non-finance professionals, tick in the box. So it just felt like it would really sort of enhance my delivery, and then it would make our business is really small. We'll have 5 staff, so it's really important that I, as Wendy already said, lead by example and continue my learning journey, especially when I'm asking our team to, you know, do more qualifications or take on extra responsibilities in the training that goes along with that.
Amazing. And how are you finding the balance between working and learning?
Well,
being the
it is.
busy bee that
Yeah,
you
it
are.
is. Well, it is, and it's the plate spinning bit, isn't it? So you've got to be really, and I think that's one of the things that's great about an apprenticeship, in that you're supported with. You've got to be really good at putting boundaries in place, and it's a challenge for everyone all of the time. That time management piece is always a work in progress for me. So it's been really helpful that actually there's a day out of the office once a month, so there's a boundary, a physical boundary, because I'm just not there. So you know, there's lots and lots of advantages to having the apprenticeship, because it's dedicated time for you to work on your own qualification, which in turn enhances the business.
Mm-hmm. And what's been the best part of your journey so far?
There's loads. I think really, like, our team of apprentices is really good. I think I've really enjoyed getting, because everybody comes from such a different background, and there's lots of things where we've all gone through various challenges, and it's just been really lovely to share that with other people who've gone, well, have you thought about it like this? Have you considered that? To just get lots of different viewpoints. Small business owners spend lots of time working in their business. It's really difficult to get some time to take a step back and work on your business. So I think for me, the highlight has been sort of linking in with other people in a similar position to you in a different organisation.
Amazing. And how do you think Access Training's helped you and your business, I guess? Because I understand you've got your own apprentice as well.
Yeah,
haven't you?
so it was really easy to become an apprentice. I just had to say yes to just to be and have a positive mindset. And then they were like, come in, you're welcome. And then when we were looking to recruit, so we had to backfill a role. A member of staff moved on and we had to backfill a role. And actually it was a role across the whole function of the business. It wasn't a technical role in terms of financial advice. So, and because we were already established with Access, it was really easy to have that conversation about employing a level 3 apprentice. And the process that we went through was pretty seamless. And we were presented with 5 really excellent candidates to interview. And it's nice. I like being an apprentice and having an apprentice because we can, we keep each other accountable. And it's a bit of moral support also.
Great stuff.
So any study sessions then?
Yeah, always.
Now, Cole, obviously your journey took you through team leader first.
Yeah.
And now on to OM. But what attracted you to the team leader programme initially?
I think it's because I wasn't necessarily an accidental manager. I think I was kind of trying to go towards something, but I knew that I didn't want to just take responsibility for people and their roles within the business and also have to facilitate the goals of the business. And I didn't feel experienced in that, so I wanted to get educated in that way. Because why would you go into such an important role and not be educated in that way? I think it's the same as like anything really. You need to be educated in any role you're in instead of just doing it without any sort of backing there. Because at the end of the day, you are looking after people, and the team that I took over as well was actually all like young apprentices at the start of their careers. So I think like it's so important to be able to give them the best start, and that responsibility falls on you. You're not just there just for the business, if that makes sense, and to follow those goals. So as you mentioned, Wendy, it's about the people that you're looking after. So I just thought I wanted to get educated in that and then and follow on from there. So I think it's really helped.
Absolutely. So what pushed you to make the decision to progress on to the level 5 then?
I think it's because I really enjoyed the level 3. I've never really enjoyed education before. Actually, I kind of hated school and then didn't really do much after that, apart from a small level 3 and the role that I'm in. But yeah, I liked it, and then I thought, well, I learned a lot there, and now I want to push myself further. So working towards that level 5, which we're almost complete on. But as you say, it's like when you're there as well with people, it's you get a lot more experience from different people. In the level 3, I had a lot more people at the same level as myself, but the level 5s had people who've got a lot more experience than myself, and those kind of conversations and debates when you're in the classroom are really helpful. Instead of like, you're not just learning from the teacher as well. It's really great. So it gives you a lot of perspectives which you probably don't get anywhere else really. Like there's not often you would sit down with a group of people and discuss like work and your ideas of leadership and specific points.
Amazing. And how have you found that transition from level 3 to level 5?
It's fine. It's not been too bad because I think the level 3 leads nicely on, and I think the backing from the teachers that we've had have been great as well. And then I think it gets harder as it goes. So it's not too bad a step over at the start, but yeah.
Oh, obviously, in contrast to Helen, your employer is a larger organisation, a levy payer actually. But how would you say the programmes have helped sort of the wider business, do you think?
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of this accidental leader, or the kind of idea that some people might get promoted on charisma, but it doesn't actually mean that you're going to be a good leader. You know what I mean? Like, because at the end of the day, you might be able to talk great, and that doesn't necessarily mean that when you're actually leading a group of people that you're going to be able to, give them the right leadership to achieve the goals of the business, or give them the best advice for their careers if you're at the start of a career, or guide them on to the next level. I think there's a stat that says like the number one reason why people want to leave a business is because of like bad leaders.
Yeah.
So why do businesses ever like not make sure that they're giving the right training to people who are leading other people?
Absolutely. Now, Wendy, obviously both Cole and Helen are clearly integral to their companies in their own right, but how do you tailor training for apprentices that are like juggling such big responsibilities?
So it all goes from the initial meetings with the individuals. So before any apprentice comes on programme, we do a one-to-one meeting where we do a pre-screen. We identify what the job role is, what the starting point is. And for all the knowledge that we impart in the taught sessions is the same content. The peer-to-peer support is, it's it's amazing because, like Cole's just mentioned, he's learning things from his peers that going back to work he wouldn't have those same conversations. But then it's about us as trainers to support the individuals of how we then help them develop that into a skill with the employer. So we have the tripartite reviews every 10 to 12 weeks with the line manager and the apprentice. Within that we can look at examples, and I'll have conversations with apprentices and say, no, I don't do this, I don't do that, and then I dig deeper, and I'll say, what about this, what about, oh yeah, that's a great idea. It's like projects is something that a lot of apprentices need to do as part of the programs. And I look at the job role, I look at what they do, and I say, well, have you not got an example of, a new process map for this? Or have you got, process flows and a how-to guide for that? Well, we've never had that, so why would we need it? So, we'll look at tailoring things around the individual, and then they can go back into the workplace, and it's about them drawing on that and working with the employer. And that's where, like Cole's saying, people start to see people's capabilities and think, actually, it's not through default or charisma that they're getting that promotion. It's actually through their ability and what they've seen them do. So we tailor things individually with them for all they are working towards the same outcome. Their portfolio of evidence that they build through the programme, so Cole to Helen's, will be vastly different because of the job role and because of the organisation. Yeah. And that's the way we support them to build that.
Amazing. And what kind of growth do you see in learners from sort of day one to progression?
Well,
completion?
We meet that individual at pre-screen, so pre-enrolling on the programme. Yeah. They come into the first session not knowing anybody, quite nervous. And I think as we see them coming in on the monthly sessions, I think they've all said peer-to-peer support, and they form a little sort of group and network. And I've got some, that form Teams groups or WhatsApp groups, and what they will. And you say they build that camaraderie, but then they're building that confidence because they're getting that advice off other people, but then they're going back into the workplace and thinking, let's try this out. And, the confidence grows. And in the progress reviews with the line managers, once the managers start to see that confidence grow, they're getting that feedback. So it's that full circle of, all the interactions of the different people. And it's really about that lifelong journey. And from the start, we set smart targets, and really, life is one smart target, which throughout the apprenticeship, we just embed throughout. And that is something we support them, and you see them grow and to an all-rounded individual. So use Cole as an example, going on from team leader to have the confidence to go on to OM. You're seeing yourself grow, and that's what it's all about.
Amazing. Yeah, it's about skills that stick, really, isn't it? So on that vein, Matt, what are employers typically looking for when they hire or upskill into a leader or management role, do you think?
Well, it's potentially lots of different things, and potentially two different sets. And going back to the things that Cole and Helen have said about when you're recruiting, you're not going to put an advert out to say we want a manager, but we don't want someone that's trained to be a manager. You kind of want someone that's already there, don't you? If you're really honest about it. So the requirement when you're hiring is you want the finished article, but unfortunately not everyone has the experience that Cole has, where he works for an employer that gives him the tools to do the job before he gets into it, and that's where there is a difference. Whereas when you're upskilling or when you're promoting someone into a role, a lot of the time it can be, who have we got that can do it? Who's the nearest that we've got? And a lot of the time that might be who's got the best sales figures or who's been here for the longest, but that doesn't necessarily make them the right person to be the manager. And I'm not going to say best or worst manager, because that's the wrong way to put it. Is that the right person for the team and to take that team forwards? And I always think of football analogies with these things, that you look at some of the best football managers, they were good footballers, they weren't necessarily the best, but they're amazing managers, because it's two different skill sets that you need. So I think it's really important to understand that when you're recruiting or when you're promoting, you may be looking for different things, and you need to consider the skills of the individual. So becoming an accidental manager isn't necessarily a terrible thing. That has to happen with smaller organisations. You can't necessarily spend years training someone just in case we need a manager. For a larger organisation, there's a very high chance that they will need multiple managers. So it's making sure that when you spot that someone's maybe gone into that accidental manager category, that you do something about it. And that's where team leader is for aspiring, so as Cole was, or people that are new into a role, or people looking to consolidate previous knowledge and make sure that they are actually doing things as well as they hope that they are. You've then got the progression through to operations manager. So it's different things for different people, but I think being able to identify and spot where you are on that spectrum as quickly as possible is really, really important.
Absolutely. And are there any misconceptions about the programmes, you think, or even apprenticeships in general, I guess?
Lots. Lots and lots. The biggest one's clearly been that when we talk about apprenticeships and when we speak to employers, it's straight away, we don't have vacancies. We're not looking for new people, because they just think of young people, first jobs for apprenticeships. And much as though that is a vital focus area, and it is something that will continue to be that way when you look at announcements in the budget and the way that apprenticeship funding is going, there is always that core basis that it should be aimed at people getting into careers. However, it can be for anybody. As you said in your intro, I've done a team leader apprenticeship. I'm 50, just turned, don't mind saying that. They can be for anybody at any point in time. I've done supervisory and management roles, but I've never done a formal qualification, and for me it felt it's about time to do that. So there is that massive misconception. There's also the thing about off-the-job training. It's really, really misunderstood that people think off-the-job training is locking yourself away in an office for a day a week, just training. And that's not the case. Off-the-job training is basically anything that puts you on your journey towards hitting the knowledge, skills and behaviours that you need to get the apprenticeship, so that you can show that you are at the required standard. That can be anything.
Yeah.
Things that you do as part of your day-to-day job. When Helen's doing coaching sessions with her administration apprentice, that will all go towards knowledge, skills and behaviours, and towards off-the-job training, meetings that you have, networking events. It can be so many different things. So understanding what counts towards the apprenticeship is really important. And the other thing is the funding. Funding can cause confusion, which again, I'll touch on funding later on in the podcast, but there are changes coming up as well. And all that I would say is, if you are concerned about how much an apprentice will cost you, it's probably not as much as you think it will be. But if you've got any questions, that's what we're here for. You know, it can be a bit of a minefield, so pick up the phone, have a conversation. We will do everything that we can to give you the right information and the right guidance so that you can make an informed decision. The most important thing is that we don't end up with square pegs in round holes. And that's for taking in a new apprentice. That's for whether you do team leader or operations manager. We will guide you, and if it's not the right thing, then we'll tell you, because we want to make sure that apprenticeships get the right press, the right coverage, and that they are used for the right reasons.
Amazing. Now, Wendy, what kind of impact do you see learners from these programmes having on their organisations?
Huge impact for the right reasons, to be fair. So many apprentices, like I say, underestimate their abilities, and it's about drawing that confidence out of them. So I've had apprentices that I've taught in the past, and they've done a project, and the real thing they want to home in is what the impact that project has. So I've had apprentices that have saved the organisations, you know, financial gains, and they've been recognised for that. There's been progression routes, there's been promotion routes, but one thing it's really done is made them stand out from the colleagues and think, actually, we haven't seen the ability of this individual before. So it's about really putting them in the spotlight for the right reasons, you know, the halo above them, you know, nice light shine above them, to say, well, actually, they're really good at what they do and we can get more out of them and they've got more potential, so let's use it.
Absolutely.
So it's all about growth.
Yeah.
So, you know, I look at, you know, Helen saying about her apprentice and Cole saying about his journey. You know, another couple of years' time, be interesting to see how those things are going to evolve, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, amazing. And what are some of the practical tools and techniques that learners can take away from the programmes?
So a bit like Matt said earlier, it's a lot about sort of the theories and, you know, the fundamentals of what they learn in the classroom. So sort of the taught theories, like the time management theories and models, you know, how to go away and think, how do I use Eisenhower matrix? Well, I've never heard of it before. But actually, I can put that into practice and that can actually improve my time management skills. And once I start using that, it comes second nature. They don't think of it, but they can recall it in time to come, and they're doing it. The same with the sort of the problem solving, decision making. A lot of it within being a team leader or an OM is about being able to problem solve and make decisions without going to somebody else for advice. You know, all those things that stick. Conflict is one thing everybody loves to hate. But, you know, it's something, that word people, that brings, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah? So you're dealing with conflict. The worst thing you can do is walk away from it. It's about people having the foundations to think, it's not nice, but I've got to do something about it. And it's all those sort of tools and things that stick with people that they can take away. And that is what builds them as an individual. And it's not about getting it perfect the first time. It's about learning from it and think, well, I did all right. I could have done better. But let's use what I did next time. But actually, let's just develop it that bit more. And that is what you do even beyond your apprenticeship journey.
So how do you ensure that learners feel confident when they're applying these sort of theories, do you think?
So as Helen, Cole said, and Matt, in the classroom sessions, you're learning about the theories. You have those activities. We build a lot of group activities and interaction in. The worst thing would be to have like a trainer like myself stood there for 8 hours, preaching. That's not what it's about. It's all about the peer support, the group discussions. Oh, I had that example at work. Well, how did you deal with it? Oh, that's a good hint and tip. I could do that. Like you were saying about your cohort before, you've got a nice little group of people. You get to know each other. People open up. And that's what people want. They don't want to go into work and say, I'm holding my hands up, but I don't know how to deal with this. They want to go back into work and say, actually, I know how to deal with this.
Amazing. And Helen, how has this course helped you feel more confident in your role, do you think?
I don't know if anybody actually goes, oh, I'd like to be an operations manager when I grow up. I think you sort of, you fall into it, don't you? If you have naturally, some of the things that I do are just naturally what I'm good at and what I default to. I'm naturally quite organised, or I'm good with people. I like being, I love a project, all of that stuff. But then I was aware that there'll be some stuff that I'm unaware. I'm consciously unaware. So I needed to I wanted to check. Have I covered all the bases? Am I doing a really holistic job? Am I not just being a line manager? Am I also looking after staff well-being? Are we looking at our whole business in the round in terms of my role? So I think it's really helped me consider, like I say, a more holistic approach to running a business, not just the things that I naturally default to and I'm good at. It's also made me go, oh, actually, I'm not good at that. I'm not good at that. I need to learn more about that. I need to understand more about that.
Cole, obviously you're in a team leadership role. How have the programmes helped you, and where do you hope it all leads?
It's been really, really beneficial. I mean, I had a bit less than a year of being a leader before I joined a course, the level 3. And I think that was kind of finding your feet. And then once you start the course, the decisions you make are either better, or you've got more idea of why you made a decision. You've got more structure to it. That's a word I think about a lot when I think about leadership, as well as structure. And I think these courses give you that. The kind of stuff like finance, for example, I don't really do anything to do with that because I'm in a design team leadership role. So that's kind of there in the bank for the future, though. So it sets you up for a lot of stuff like that, because there is so many different topics covered over time. So I think, it just gives you so much more structure, and you in thinking about everything. Because I think setting targets and goals, as an example, is something that everyone can do, but can you do it smart with the technique that you learn? So
now, Matt, thinking about sort of progression routes and future development and things, what's there beyond the level 5?
So with the partnership, or with Access Training now being part of the University of Sunderland, as we do level 3 and level 5 in the leadership, there is then the progression to the level 6 and level 7 degree apprenticeships that are offered by the University of Sunderland. Plus we do also have the connection that we've just started our first cohort, or the University of Sunderland, have just started their first cohort of the Help to Grow management course, which has been really popular. It's been a great start, and the initial feedback that we've had has been really positive about that. So after you've had the Access Training experience, then we can progress you on through the university, and there's some fantastic options available.
Now, I know we touched on funding and support a bit earlier, but there's often confusion, I think it's fair to say, about how apprenticeships are funded, especially at the higher levels. So what should employers know about the apprenticeship levy and how to use it?
So with the apprenticeship levy, that is something that will be applicable to anyone that has an annual payroll of £3 million or above. So there will be money that will be going into a levy funding account. Look at it as a training pot. So it's money that's there, that's available to be drawn out to support your employees. If you don't pay into the apprenticeship levy, anyone that is 16 to 21 in a non-levy paying employer, it would just be a fully funded course. Anyone outside of that bracket, it would be a 5% contribution. Apart from anyone that's aged 22 to 24 on an educational healthcare plan. So there are some little kind of quirks in there as well, but generally speaking, non-levy maximum would be a 5% contribution. Levy, money comes out of your levy fund pot.
Now, just around kind of employer support in general then, I know obviously we've got a free recruitment service as well. What
Yes.
else can we offer employers?
So we do offer the full recruitment service. So if you're looking to employ a new apprentice, then we will do a consultation with you. We will have a full meeting, find out about the role, make sure that we can signpost you towards the right qualification. We can support with then getting job descriptions put together. We'll advertise. We will pre-screen any candidates that have applied that are suitable for the job. So we do as much as we can to make sure that we are only sending suitable people. And it's all about trust. We need to make sure that we're getting that right as often as we can first time. So there's lots of different bits of support that we'll give along the way. And as I say, back to that square peg round hole thing, if for any reason we don't have a course that's right, or if an apprenticeship isn't, we will signpost towards a short course or to one of our partners that we work with on different funding streams. So we will always try and do our best to support employees in the right way.
Right, guys, well, final word for everyone then. If you had to sum up the value of these programmes in one sentence, what would you say? Matt, I'm looking at you.
I think for me, having done the team leader apprenticeship, it was about consolidating knowledge. And we've talked about all the different models that you go through and realising that sometimes you're doing the right things, but you don't always know why. So when I was learning about models, I was thinking, okay, I do 4 of those steps, but not that one. So that's why that doesn't quite work. So just sort of brought all of that together and helped to give a little bit more confidence that actually a lot of the time you probably know more than you realise that you do.
Amazing. Wendy?
So I think you need to think of it that, you know, your education and your learning in life is a lifelong process. This apprenticeship is going to lead on to your next step. That apprenticeship may lead on to future learning. So the progression steps that Matt mentioned, and it's just about being receptive to learning, because in the workplace we're always going to learn.
Absolutely. Helen?
I think for me as a small business owner, it's a really cost-effective way to attract new staff, to bring fresh ideas, and also to retain the staff that you have, because it's worth that you're demonstrating as a small business owner that you're investing in them. So, and it's really it improves the business across the board, not just for the apprentice, but we all benefit from it. In a really effective way.
Amazing. Last but not least, go on.
Structure and support for leaders in the workplace.
Ooh. Nice. Stick that on a flyer, shall we? Well, that's it. Well, thank you for joining us, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you for listening to Access All Areas. For more stories, opportunities and insights, head to our website, accesstraining.org. Until next time. Thumbs up. Yay. There we go. That wasn't so bad, was it?
Was that one take?